Hello and welcome to another episode of Researcher Explains. Today we will be talking about yields in DeFi protocol. A lot of talk recently has been about DeFi and real yields. However, not many are able to explain what DeFi yields and real yields truly are, where do DeFi yields come from, and most importantly, how to evaluate hundreds if not thousands of these DeFi protocols. So I'll answer all of these questions in today's video. Firstly, before I dive in, I like to share a bit about my experience. As a crypto researcher, I keep testing newer DeFi protocols and learning what's happening in the DeFi ecosystem. I've been using protocols such as Curve, Uniswap, Pancakeswap, GMX, and many others over the past 1 year, and I'll share what my learnings have been throughout this time. Lastly, please note that this is not a financial advice. So let's talk about Uniswap. Uniswap was one of the first decentralized exchanges. Much like centralized exchanges such as Binance, it helps users in swapping tokens. However, unlike the centralized exchanges, most of the fees that is collected on Uniswap gets distributed to the liquidity providers. There are a lot of videos that explain how Uniswap works in detail. We will leave links to some of those videos in the description. You can use these videos to learn about how Uniswap typically works. We will focus more on the yield part in this video. So how does Uniswap generate yield? It's very simple. The fees that Uniswap collects from the trading activity that is happening on the protocol is what it distributes to the liquidity providers, at least major chunk of it. For example, if 100 million of trading activity has happened on the Uniswap protocol, a percentage of that will be collected as fees, which typically ranges from 0.05% to 0.3%. and is distributed to the liquidity providers. Most of these statistics you can check on the Uniswap website itself, but the important thing to note here is if the trading activity on the protocol is higher, that will imply that the protocol will collect higher fees and thus distribute higher yields to its liquidity providers. The other thing that you should note is the yield is typically distributed in the form of two tokens that the liquidity providers are providing liquidity for. So if you're providing liquidity for Ether USDC pair, you will get these yields in Ether and USDC token. So let's talk about why DeFi in Uniswap is promising. There are three primary reasons. First, Uniswap was one of the first DeFi protocols that revolutionized the market, so they have a first mover advantage. Secondly, it is the biggest decentralized exchange, thus resulting in higher trading volume and capturing higher fees, which gets distributed to its liquidity providers. Thirdly, the team is super innovative and consistently implements newer features to the Uniswap protocol. In the latest version, which is Uniswap v3, the team had implemented a component called concentrated liquidity, which significantly increases the capital efficiency of the Uniswap protocol. It will not be a stretch to say that the Uniswap team is super innovative and consistently implements the latest features on the protocol. So let's talk about some of the other protocols. I'll take example of Pancakeswap. As you might know that BNB Chain has very low fees and Pancakeswap has lower liquidity and trading volume compared to the Uniswap protocol, which means that Pancakeswap protocol will capture lower fees and hence lower yields for its liquidity providers. To be more competitive, projects like these typically will reward their liquidity providers with their governance tokens such as Cake. So as you can see in the picture, the LP position of BNB BUSD on Pancakeswap is currently giving away 11% in APR, majority of which is paid in Cake tokens. So essentially, the liquidity providers are getting airdropped the Cake tokens. There are many other protocols that follow similar model. It essentially means that the APR for liquidity providers gets boosted through these rewards and hence they are able to attract a lot of liquidity for the exchange. The adverse effect of this model is that the governance token that is typically used to incentivize these liquidity providers is always in a declining state because the liquidity providers who are being rewarded these governance tokens are typically inclined to sell most part of these rewards to book profits. This model is very different in the Uniswap protocol, where the protocol only offers yields in the form of two tokens that you are providing liquidity for. Now let's talk about a real yield platform called GMX. On GMX, you do not provide liquidity for token pairs, but rather you provide liquidity to the overall protocol. They have a concept called unified liquidity, which is represented by the GLP token on the platform. You can see different components of the GLP token on the website. 50% of this GLP liquidity is represented through stable coins, and 50% of it is represented through the other blue chip tokens and coins that are traded on GMX platform. The major difference when it comes to GMX token is the token utility of GMX. Unlike Uni and Cake, if you buy and stake GMX token on the platform, you can earn yield up to 12.5%, of which a major part comes from the fees that is captured by the GMX protocol. Majority part of that is coming through the fees, but also a major part of this APR comes from the escrowed GMX rewards that GMX rewards to its liquidity providers. These escrowed GMX tokens are very different from the normal GMX tokens. These escrowed GMX tokens vest over a period of 12 months and hence reduce the sell pressure that comes on the GMX token. So that's one major difference in how GMX operates. Now the other way to earn APY and rewards on GMX platform is by staking the GLP tokens, which are the Unified Liquidity Protocol tokens that operate on GMX. At the time of recording of the video, the APR that GMX is offering is around 16%, of which 12% is coming through Ether rewards, and again, the rest of it is coming through escrowed GMX rewards, again reducing the sell pressure on GMX token. So that's how you provide liquidity and earn tokens on GMX platform. So how do you decide which protocols you should provide liquidity in and be a part of? So let's create a framework to decide these things. The first thing that we should consider is what are the different rewards that these different platforms offer. Let's talk about Uniswap. Here you can see that on the Uniswap protocol, the ETH USDC pair with 0.05% fees is typically given users or liquidity providers a reward of around 30 to 60% over the past 12 months. The same thing for GMX is around 12.5% when you stake the GMX token and around 17% if you stake GLP tokens. The APY or rewards on GMX platform has peaked at around 40% when I started using it, and it fluctuates on a daily basis. When it comes to Pancakeswap, the reward for BNB BUSD pool on the Pancakeswap protocol has been around 25 to 30%. And it goes down if you really want to use other pairs like Ethereum or Bitcoin. The other thing to consider when you're talking about rewards is token appreciation. GMX really adds value or utility to its token, which means that if you hold or stake GMX tokens, you really get to keep a part of the fees that is captured by the GMX token. So that is very different from Uniswap's token or Cake's token. And hence, that's an impact that we see in the price performance of the tokens. While Uni token, which is the governance token of Uniswap, has declined by 74%, the Cake token, which is the governance token of Pancakeswap, has declined by 76% over the last 12 months. The GMX token, which really gives a lot of utility to its platform, has really gained around 67% during the same 12 months. So that's one additional thing you should consider when you're evaluating these rewards. Now let's talk about the different risks that are associated with each of these protocols. Of course, there is a risk of hacking, so users need to be very careful when they're interacting with these protocols. The second risk is depreciation in value of the token. It can also be depegging of the stablecoins if you're using stablecoin as the second coin. The third and the biggest risk that I see is the security nature of the GMX token, which is not the case for Uni tokens or Cake tokens. A very stable test that is used by the finance industry to determine if a financial asset is a security or not is called Howey's test. It asks 4 simple questions. Whether there is an investment of money, if the investment of money is made in a common enterprise, is the investment made in expectation of a profit, and is the profit coming from the effort of others? If all of these 4 answers are yes, then the financial asset is determined as a security. And I think a lot of people interpret that the GMX token has security features. When a token allows users to capture part of the fees that is captured by the protocol, then it may be interpreted by many people as a security token. When we are making these kind of choices, all I wanted to say is you should always be really aware of different nature of these tokens and do your risk analysis accordingly. At this point, this is all my personal opinion and my understanding at the time of recording of this video. How do I position myself in this market? I have 2 parts of my portfolio. Part 1 goes in those projects where I'm going to be invested for long term and I'm expecting handsome returns in terms of excess there. The second part of the investment portfolio really goes into liquidity providing, and there my goal is to have less risk, more security, and provide liquidity in tokens or token pairs which have very high volume or liquidity, so that the user can exit their position whenever they want to. In terms of liquidity providing protocols or DeFi protocols, I've been using all of the three we talked about and a lot more. Alright everyone, I hope you've liked the video. I have shared my experiences of using GMX, Uniswap and Pancakeswap, and I hope this video really helps you to stay longer in the crypto space. DeFi is an interesting topic, at the same time very complex, and you'll always need to adapt based on your interests, knowledge and risk profile. Please note that this is not a financial advice. Of course, if you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when the next one is up. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.